Welcome to our very first podcast of La Comunidad Bible Church. We're very happy to be here today. And this is a space where we will be talking a little more about the sermons or also listening to what God is doing in people's life and just a time to connect and hear about what the Lord is doing in us. So we're going to start this first episode talking to Pastor Tad, to my husband, talking a little bit about what we were talking on the sermon that you taught. We're in a series about Psalms, selected Psalms, and you just preached about a week ago about the Psalm 46. So we're gonna start with that, talking about a little bit about why do you think that Psalm 46 is so powerful?
Well, thank you very much, Marilena. I'm very excited about our first podcast. And yes, Psalm 46 is one of the most powerful Psalms. As we know, that was the Psalm that Martin Luther based his incredible song, his incredible hymn that he wrote, "A Mighty Fortress is Our God." But I think what really makes that Psalm so powerful is that we're really able to see how God can really protect us. We can see that no matter what, really the Psalm comes from has two approaches to when we're dealing with struggles and problems and trials in our lives. And one is that He is our ever-present help in time of need, which means no matter what happens to us, no matter what we're going through, He is present. He's our refuge. And so even when things around us and our circumstances don't change, the whole world is falling apart, we can run to Him. He's our shelter. He's our fortress. He's our refuge. And so so even when He doesn't change the circumstances, He still protects us. He's still our ever-present help in time of need. But the other angle that the Psalm comes from is also that it is talking about how God can change things, and that we should hold out hope, and that we should pray and ask Him to change things. The whole context of the Psalm was based on what happened in Isaiah chapter 36 and 37 with King Hezekiah, when the king of Assyria, Sennacherib, came in and attacked Judah and attacked the city of Jerusalem. And there was 185,000 troops, the largest army in the world at that time, who were completely surrounding the city of Jerusalem. And the messenger came to Hezekiah and said, "Why are you trusting the Lord? Don't trust the Lord. Don't tell your people to trust the Lord." And Hezekiah went and he spent time in sackcloth and ashes, and he was fasting and praying, and he was full of distress. And the next morning, they woke up and they saw the entire 185,000 troops were defeated by one angel, the angel of the Lord. Of course, we believe that was Christ, that was the Son of God, the eternal Son of God, showing up in the Old Testament, and He's called the Son of the Lord, the angel of the Lord, and one angel defeated all 185,000. So the Psalm has the hope that if God changes things, we put our hope in Him. He has the power to change things. He's our power. But if He doesn't, then He's our refuge to run to no matter what's happening all around us.
And that's a concept that is very powerful to understand, like what He did in what you were just explaining in Isaiah, to understand that there are times that we just don't know how to come out of like a situation, a struggle, a circumstance that is beyond what we can control. And I believe that sometimes we are too busy looking for answers in all different places. Like we go maybe in our phones and we're looking for different answers. Now when somebody has like a condition, a physical condition, they look immediately what ChatGPT is saying about that. And we might be trying to come from different places or sources for us to be able to deal with that problem. But when He in Psalm 46 is telling us to be still, to quiet down our thoughts, to quiet down everything that, like even the solutions that we might bring to the table. I think that that's something so powerful that we can understand that. Now, you were also talking about how we see victory and how God sees victory. Can you tell us about that a little more? Like how God defines victory?
Yes, I think one of the things that we see in the Psalm is, if we do a study of the Psalm, one of the things that the Psalms are based on that really holds conceptually how Psalms are held together in the Bible is based on a contrast, based on parallelism. And so there's always this contrast of the way man defines victory, or the way man defines help, or the way man defines knowledge, contrasted with the way God defines those things. And so in this Psalm, I think it really rises to the surface that we see two equations. We have God's equation of victory equation, and we have man's victory equation. I'll start with man's victory equation, which is basically really simple. It's me minus all my problems equals victory.
Okay.
It's almost always the way we as human beings see this, is me, take away all my problems, and I'll have victory. Now, God's way of defining victory, as we see here in this psalm, is totally different. It's that God and God's equation for victory, or victory equation, is God equals refuge, equals strength, equals present help, and here's the important part, plus trouble. Not minus trouble, plus trouble equals I will not fear.
Right.
And that is victory from God's point of view. What is his goal? His goal is not to cause us to live a life without problems. His goal is not to create a situation where we never have trials or struggles, and that's the only way that we could ever feel that we're walking in victory. But his goal is for us to be able to say, like the psalmists say here, I will not fear no matter what's happening around me, because I know that God is so much bigger and I can trust him. And whether he's my refuge or whether he's my conqueror, either way, I will not fear, and that equals victory.
And that is something that, what you're saying, the definition, just to see that contrast, and it's true. Sometimes because we are full of problems, and maybe we don't see the full panorama, we think that victory means zero problems. But I really like that definition, that equation, just to add in there that God is not only our refuge, but the concept of plus our struggle, plus our problems equals not fear, because it's about him. Now, what would you say to a person that perhaps is watching at the podcast at this moment? That person might be thinking, I have a lot of struggles at this moment. My trials are beyond what I can even bear. So how will something like the Psalm 46 will apply right into that person situation?
Well, yeah, thank you so much for asking. That's very important to understand how this can impact us personally. And I think that really that great verse that many of us know, and as believers we cherish, and it's a very famous verse, 46:10, which says, "Be still and know that I am God." And really where this begins, I think there's two things that we need to do when we really feel overwhelmed by circumstances and overwhelmed by pain or by trials. Is the first thing we have to do is stop doing something, and then the second thing we need to do is start doing something. And the thing we need to stop doing is worrying and coming into a place where we're just trying to figure out, as you were mentioning, everything on our own, and trying to figure out all the problems our own way, and just kind of playing it over again and again in our minds. And what worry is it's meditation, but it's meditating in the wrong way. meditating on all the problems without the solutions, meditating on how we're overburdened, how we feel without meditating on the power of God. And so the Bible tells us very clearly, because God is our refuge, because God is our ever-present help in time of need, because God is the power that can change everything in life, because of those things, our appropriate response to that is to be still. Quiet your emotions, quiet your mind, quiet your fears. Stop listening to all of those things and know in your heart, in your mind, know that He is God. And the second thing is to pray. The very concept, the very idea, spiritually speaking, of running to the refuge of God, running to Him as He's our hope. How do we do that, practically speaking? And the way we do it, day in and day out, every day, is prayer. And I love the story of Jacob in Genesis chapter 32, where he enters in. It's the evening before he meets his brother Esau. And his brother Esau, he hasn't seen him in 20 years. And Esau, the last thing that Esau said to him was he made a vow, I will kill Jacob. And Jacob has no idea what Esau is going to do. Jacob has a whole family and servants, and he has his children. And Esau, he sends a spy ahead, and the spy comes back and says, Esau's coming, and he has 400 men with him. And so Jacob is fearful. He's afraid. He goes ahead by himself, and he has his family divided into two different camps. And he goes on ahead, and he wants to spend some time with the Lord in prayer because he's fearful that Esau's going to wipe out his entire family. And the Lord shows him that there's another camp, and it's the camp of angels all around him. In Genesis chapter 32, verse 1. And God gives him that understanding. He shows him spiritually, gives him a vision of all the angels that are camped all around him. And then Jacob prays one time, and then he prays and he asks the Lord, help me, deliver me from Esau. And then later on in the same chapter, we have that famous passage, that famous example of him wrestling with the Lord in prayer. And so no matter what we're going through, no matter what we're dealing with, because God is ever present, we can go to Him with our problems, we can go to Him with our fears, and the act of going to Him in prayer is running into that refuge.
That's right. And I think that sometimes we as human beings, even as Christians, we say, okay, if there is no other way, I guess we're just going to have to pray. We leave that as the last resource. And I think that what you're talking about, even what Jacob was doing with the Lord Himself, he was wrestling in prayer. I think that's something that personally, like, I like that more in my life, to come to Him, to sit still, but also come to Him with the need that we have and pray and ask Him and understand and go through His Word and just really take that problem or struggle to Him. I think that that's what makes the difference, because He, like you said before, He is our refuge. And I like to encourage each one of you that are listening to this podcast, go to the Lord. Go to the Lord in prayer. Sit still with the Lord. He is your refuge. Don't leave that for like the last thing that you will do. Start there. That's where He wants us to start. So I don't know if you would like to finish or close this time by saying anything else to the people that are listening at this time.
Well, just remember that as we've seen in this beautiful and powerful psalm, God is our refuge. He's our ever-present help. And so no matter what we're dealing with in life, no matter what's going on in the world around us, we even see other elements in that psalm about it expands out beyond just an individual's experience, and we see the experience of nations and wars and whatever we're going through, global pandemics, whatever it is, corruption in governments, in this world we live in. We have one who is our ever-present help. He's powerful, He loves us, and He will take care of us and meet all of our needs. And so to enter into that time where we learn how to depend on Him is so critical. Be still and know that He is God.
Well, thank you again for this time, and please just keep tuning in to this podcast, and we will talk to you shortly.
Thank you.